Okay, so we're moving on to something else that I absolutely love talking about, and I cannot stand that I'm not there for this, but we're going to talk about the civil rights movement. This was going on in Kennedy's and Lyndon B. Johnson's presidency, so that's kind of why I left it at the end, so I could talk about it as like a theme, because there was so much stuff going on. Now, Johnson is going to be the one that passes most of your laws that help African Americans, but just know that Kennedy was also an advocate for civil rights, and he actually helped Martin Luther King several times, him and his brother, Bobby Kennedy. So we're going to talk about them. Okay, there are two protesting groups that you need to know during the civil rights movement. One is the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and the best way to remember them is pronounce it as SNCC. That's what their nickname was. That's how it's pronounced. That's what it's short for. Um, these are college students. Okay. Even today, when there's protesting, major protesting going on, a lot of it is college student led. So these are the people who are going to start um, protesting with sit-ins. They're trying to create a movement that is going to systematically challenge segregation in the South. So they're going to do this thing, what is called civil disobedience. And what that means is you are breaking the law peacefully. You're not killing anybody, no armed robberies, no harm done. You're just civilly, breaking the law. For example, right here, it's kind of hard to see. They're sitting at a countertop in a restaurant. At the countertop, it was whites only. Well, you've got African American students sitting right here. Are they hurting anybody? No. Are they bothering anybody? No. They're just sitting where they're not supposed to sit, and that was against the law, but they were doing it peacefully. This right here, something so small, is going to cause so much uproar in the South. And that's something that they did. That's what they're known for. They're also known for the Freedom Rides. And Freedom Rides was what would happen is in Washington, D.C., there weren't Jim Crow laws. So they would get on a charter bus and drive through the South. And these weren't just African American students, these were also white college students who were civil rights activists. They believed what was going on wasn't right. And so they're all whites and blacks are going to board these buses and they're going to drive through the South. Well, the problem was in the South, if you were white and black, you couldn't ride in the car together. So they're going to buck the system and they're going to try to challenge that segregation law. Unfortunately, a lot of your police officers are in the KKK. So unfortunately, some of them will get stopped and brutally beaten. There was several rides that actually the KKK threw bombs inside of they would break the windows and throw bombs into the buses. So if we have time, probably after the OC, I'll let you guys watch one of my favorite little movies that we watch on the civil rights movement, and it shows all about the freedom rides. So this is SNCC. These are college students who are trying to make a movement to end segregation. Okay, the SCLC, this is a little different. They're doing the same kind of things. They have the exact same motives, but it's a little different. These are going to be older people. So, like right here, you can see these are older people, adults. Um, it's the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. So it was led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And the way to remember that is Christian. Well, what was Martin Luther King? What was his other job? I hope somebody said pastor because he was a pastor. So that's how you remember this one. And he was older, he wasn't a college student. They're going to use different tactics as well. They will have some kind of, some sit ins and things like that. Kneel ins, wade ins, I always get asked about, so I'll just tell you. There were segregated beaches. So when you went to the beach, like in Mississippi or Florida, there was a black beach and there was a white beach, and so a lot of them would go to the white beach and kind of just get in the water. So that's what that was. They would, file lawsuits, saying that, their 14th Amendment was getting violated and things like that. So similar to SNCC, but they were older. They were less violent, if you will. SNCC, you don't have to know this, but maybe it might help you remember it. This one right here, SNCC, these guys, once it starts getting really bad, they're going to kind of start leaning towards, the Black Panthers. They're going to be getting so fed up with getting treated so bad and not getting fair treatment and protection by the police that they're going to kind of start going a little bit more towards, arming themselves. So that's kind of where the Black Panthers originated from, was the same kind of group here. I would just call the Black Panthers radicals from SNCC, where the CLC was Martin Luther King, and you guys already know about him and how he went about things. Okay, Martin Luther King Jr., you need to do the bold ones. A very influential leader in the civil rights movement. He was a minister, which is a pastor. He set the tone and the example for nonviolent protest. He is the perfect example for somebody protesting nonviolently and it working. If I could go back in history, it would be to meet this man. April 4th, 1968, which we'll talk about 1968 tomorrow because that year itself was just terrible. Martin Luther King will be assassinated in Memphis. It was a Tennessee hotel called the Lorraine. It's a museum now. And it actually, the guy who shot him was this racist guy named James Earl Ray, and it actually went to an international manhunt. Like, he fled the country, and they found him in London. So, which we'll talk about that later, but Martin Luther King. Okay, letter from Birmingham jail. Martin Luther King got arrested several times for stupid stuff. Okay, he got arrested. Rosa Parks got arrested for little silly things. Speaking of which, SNCC, all those people who are sitting at this countertop continue to get arrested. So what's going to happen in 63, this is before the I Have a Dream speech. Martin Luther King is sitting in Birmingham jail because the police had arrested him for doing a sit-in. Well, while he was in jail, he was reading some newspaper articles, and these newspaper articles were of preachers in Alabama who were telling him to stop protesting. They were like, you really need to stop protesting. Like, you just need to take time. Like, just be patient. Your time will come. It's got to run its course through politics. Just calm down a little bit. Okay, and you have to realize from Martin Luther King's point of view, slavery has been ended for 100 years at this point, and they're still getting treated like absolute crap. So he's a little tired of waiting. So what he's going to do is he's going to write a letter back in defense of his nonviolent methods and what he's doing and why he's doing it. And he actually wrote this in like the margins of a newspaper, and it's actually a really long letter. It's not just like a little, hey mom, what's up? It's a very long letter. I think it's like 20 pages maybe. I would have to look it up again, but it's a long letter. And after this PowerPoint, I'm going to let y'all actually read my favorite excerpt from a Birmingham jail, and I'm going to let you kind of think about, what it would be like if your dad was writing something like that, because he relates it to his kids, and it's actually really, really sad. So Birmingham jail, he was pretty much saying, I'm tired of waiting. I'm not waiting anymore. So there's Birmingham jail, and my thingy's about to run out. So hang on.